All right, got another viewer request video today. These are kind of fun because they're quick and easy, and got my RadioMaster TX16S here today. And this viewer had a question about how to manually reset timers at any time, you know, mid-flight or whatever. I don't know the application, so I set up several different timers here. And specifically, it was an elapsed timer that they wanted to reset. So I've got three different types. I got timer 1, timer 2, and timer 3 set up with different modes. Timer 1 here will start and stop with throttle. Timer 2 starts when you advance the throttle, but it doesn't stop when you go to 0 throttle. It just keeps going. And then timer 3 here is the throttle percent, which goes faster or slower depending on how much throttle you give it. If you go to max throttle and you stay there, you know, it's 1 second for 1 second. As you reduce that, it goes slower. It's proportional to throttle. I actually use that one quite a bit in my applications, you know, because depending on how you're flying will vary. You know I can fly longer if I'm flying around at quarter to half throttle, but if I'm flying around at max throttle, I can't fly as long. So anyway, that's what those are, but they're all elapsed timers. They start at 0 and count up. You can set these up however you want for your timers, and they all get reset the same way. So before I show you how I did it, let me just show you the how it works. So if I advance the throttle, let me just go to 50% throttle, and you'll see here the timer 3 is going a lot slower than the other ones. These two will be going pretty much exact same speed all the time as long as I've got any throttle. If I advance it to max throttle, of course this one will speed up. Now they'll be going, you know, at the same speed. And if I stop the throttle, these two both stop moving. That one's going to keep going. So that's kind of irrelevant for the example here for the viewer's request, but just wanted to show you how these three timers work. So the way I did it, you can use any switch or button you want for this. I've actually reconfigured my T5 and T6 to just not be trim switches, but they're just momentary switches. So if I do T5 up, you'll see that will reset timer number 1. If I do T5 down, it'll reset timer 2. And then T6 up, I've got that one reset in this. So as long as I'm doing this, let me quickly show. I've done this in some other videos, but let me show you how I changed T5 and T6 to be able to be used as a momentary button. Even if they're configured as trim switches, you can still use them as buttons, but they just beep at you and they'll say trim centered when you get to the middle. If you don't want it to do that, so you can tell mine don't make any beeps when I push them. Go into your model and then go over to flight modes. If you have multiple flight modes set up, you'll have to do this in the various flight modes, but if you're not using flight modes, just go to flight mode 0. Scroll down. Now this is 2.11.2. Go down to the bottom here and just deactivate T5 and T6. So if I touch them, that turns them back into trim switches. So just turn them off like that. And now they're just can be used as momentary buttons up, down. So this is T5 plus if you go up, T5 negative if you go down, T6 plus and minus. So that's how that works. So now I've freed those up. So in your timers, this isn't really what it's about. There's nothing really anything special to do here. I just gave it a name, call it whatever you want. This one's just using the throttle mode, and I just set the start at 0 so it counts up. You can actually set above 0, set it for 2 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever, and then down below, if you do that, let me just do it so I'm showing you. If I set, you know, anything other than 0 in there, then you can call it what direction you want. You can show elapsed, or you can show how much is remaining. If you do remaining, it'll start at the 40 seconds in this case, and then it'll clock down, and you'll see that this request he wanted to do elapsed, so I'm going to leave it at that. But if you go to 0, of course it can't show remaining because you're starting at 0 and going up. Timer 2, I've got throttle start, so it starts it, but when you go to 0 throttle it doesn't stop, it just keeps going. And then of course timer 3, I've got throttle percent. That's the proportional to how much throttle you give it. And on all of these I just started them at 0 because that was the request. Now for the resets, go into your model and then scroll over to the special functions. So pretty simple. Let me go to the first one. These are set up. Tap on that. I'll click edit. But the trigger, T5's plus, hit all, and then scroll down and you'll see all your different trim switches, T5 and T6. Okay, so for the first one, I'm just using T5 plus, and the function is reset. So you just scroll down through the list, click on reset, and then just pick the timer or the telemetry you want, and you can reset that. You can also even reset trims, telemetry, whatever you want. And then of course make sure that you've enabled that special function. And the other ones are pretty much the same way. Go to timer 2, edit. You're doing a T5 negative, so it's T5 down. I'm doing timer 2 on that one, and make sure I've enabled that. So that's all you got to do to reset those timers. Pretty simple. If I ramp up the throttle again, you see those timers moving. And you don't even have to lower the throttle. I mean, they could be clocking real time. Anytime I hit the button, here's T5 plus, I just reset timer 1, T5 negative, or down, and then T6 plus. So, you know, they'll just keep going. So I hope that covers what you were asking about. A lot of ways you can manipulate that, you know, as far as setting up whatever timers, but the reset part is what I was, you know, demonstrating in this video. But just any button or momentary button or toggle switch you want to use, you can do it for that. Little bonus tip on the end here. I don't know, you know, maybe you don't need this, but since I already had these little screen widgets popped up, I figured I might as well show you how I put those on there. Push this lower left button, and you'll bring up your screen setup. Pick the screen that you want to use. This is my second screen, but you know, up here you pick whichever screen that you want to edit. Over here, it's got it laid out with 4 boxes, but just tap the widget setup, and then you just tap the box that you want to put something in. If there's nothing there, it'll just bring up the widget select. If there is something there and you tap it, it'll ask you if you want to select the widget, adjust the widget settings, or remove it. Let me just tap this one, and then I'm just using timer as the widget. There's also timer 2, which shows it a little differently. So if I pick timer, then you just pick the timer you want to show. If you haven't named it, it'll just say TMR1, TMR2, but since I've named them, now they show timer, you know, the actual word timer. And that's it for that one. Let's say you wanted to put them in the top bar. You'd put this one over here on the side, tap that. That's your top bar, and then you set up the widgets for the top bar. And then I can tap any of these boxes up here. And then the same thing, the widgets look different, of course, because they're in that tiny little box. But so I'll set timer, pick timer 1, you know, and then you can see the timer up there in the corner. Hope that helps. Any questions, put them in the comments below. Thanks for watching.